Hi, my name is Carson Lang. I'm the Technical Regional Manager at OptaSense, and today I'm here to demo the splicing, the use of the ODH or the DAS unit, and the OTDRing. So hopefully I can give everybody a practical tutorial that you guys can use to hit the ground running with your systems and set up in the field on your own. I guess one of the first things before we get into the splicing is the safety of it. So when working with the fiber optic cable, you're going to be cleaving it and cutting it, and there is the potential of glass shards that may get onto your workspace and into your area. And not always, depending on where you're working, you may not have hand cover or gloves. It makes it a little tricky to handle the fiber optics. So just be very aware of hand placement. With the shards that are around, there is the potential that it will act like a sliver. It can go into your skin, into the bloodstream, and cause some pretty serious issues, and there's no way they'll be able to see it. So when you're working, make sure you don't have any food or drink around, and have PPEs. So this is the Splicer. It does all the work for you. Everything's automated. There will be different settings in here that you can go through for the different fiber cables, single mode or multi-mode, but all of the modes are loaded, preloaded on here for what you'll need to do, and your machine will have it as well. A great thing, if you need some kind of special splicing as well, Fujikura and their support team is very useful, and they can actually design splices, but I don't think you guys will need that. This is the cover, the dust cover that you'll want to keep on as much as you can when you're in the field or in the lab anywhere. And inside, you'll see right in the center are the electrodes, and this is what actually causes an arc and will fuse the glass together. On the outside here are the little mechanisms that you'll see once we start splicing, and you get the two pieces of fiber. You'll place them in this location, and the machine will actually move them together, and it looks at the core itself, and it will readjust them to have the core lined up as best as it can, and then it splices. And like I said, this is all automatic, and you'll be able to see that. Here, this is actually just the heater. So when you make the splice, after you'll see, you'll put on a, it's like a little stint or a sleeve protector, and that protects the splice itself and gives it support. And all this does is it shrink wraps that sleeve around the fiber optics and gives the support. And again, this is all automated as well. You just put it in, it'll heat it. The light will go off when it's ready, and you can pull it out. Just other, I guess, simple things. Underneath, you'll have the battery pack below. It's pretty easy to remove. There's just the button here, and the battery pack will slide out. And then there is also a meter on here that will show you the battery gauge. Also with the splicer, oh yeah, here it is. This is the Cleaver. So what this is going to do is once you strip and prepare the fiber, this cleaver will make a perfect 90-degree cut on the cable so that you can splice the two ends together, and then you put it into the machine. So the function of this guy is just the cleave. There is a lock on these that keeps, so you don't get your hands into the blade. You probably won't get it, but just be careful with your fingers in here because these blades are pretty sharp. You don't want to be messing around in there. On the outside is this little garbage can, and what this does is when the mechanism's activated, it collects the shards of the fiber and keeps them in here. If you don't have one of these, use another container to dispose of your fiber. And I can already see that this one was used, and there's a piece of fiber that's already there. So And you just go in, I know you guys can't see that, but there is a piece of glass that remains there. So sometimes the machine doesn't automatically pull them in. And what you want to look for too, when you open this, is there'll be little bumpers here that will hold the fiber in place when the cleaver comes down. And I might be able to force it to do it, but what happens is if you don't have a perfect 90 degrees, it will also show up here on the camera of the splicer. And if you keep running into issues of not having a perfect cut, you might have fiber sitting on these little pads. So just scan it, and like I said, use the tweezers to remove it and dispose of it in whatever container you might have. Like I said, once it's unlocked, we'll put the fiber, we'll prep it, put it in. Then there's a little activation. Opens the switch here, or a little flap here. This is what pulls in and disposes the fiber into the garbage can. And then it engages the blade to get ready, and all you do is push down and up, and then your fiber will be cut. Okay. The other component that you'll have is this stripper. It's a Tristripper, and it will take off the different layerings of your fiber optic cable. So on the cable you'll have this outer jacket, this yellow piece. Then you'll have an inner jacket, which is this white piece. And on the glass here itself, there's actually a cladding on the fiber optic cable. And that cladding is actually what provides that internal reflection for the light inside. And what you want to do is remove all those layerings to get to the glass itself. And this Tristripper will help you. You just work your way down. And you actually want to clean off that cladding that's on the glass itself. Once it's clean, then once you strip it, you're going to want to clean it with alcohol. Here we have alcohol wipes, but you can use any kind of standard alcohol. These are, I believe, 90%. And the only reason for that is that it's just quick drying, that you don't have it wet. But you could use, 75 or lower. You just have to let it sit. Also, the wipes you would want to use are nothing with fibers on it itself. So like a Kleenex wouldn't be good, because now you're adding dust. So a lot of these cloths are kind of like those Kim wipes that have no fiber strands on them themselves. So you're not transporting it to the splice that you're making. You want to keep it as clean as you can. And the machine will also show you if it is dirty, if there's any dust particles and it can't splice, it will show up here and it will error as well. So it will let you know how your splice is. And then the last piece are these little components here. These are really handy because they allow you to put the fiber in. There's different widths for 250 micron or 900 micron, and you'll see different fibers, the bare fiber or this. And what it allows it to do is just hold it in place when you go to do your cleave, and then hold it in place again when you go to do the splice. So you can leave the fiber in here and then just go strictly into the cleaver. Oops. Just directly into the cleaver, and then you just leave the fiber on. You don't have to touch it, and then it goes into this little slot here on the side. Like I said, then the mechanisms will move the fiber pieces together. You'll have different fibers. These leads here, these are E2000s. It's the type of connector itself. And this is what will go in and mate to the optical connection on the DAS unit. And then you'll have your bare fiber here. So that's why you'll see there's the different widths, and this is why these little pieces are nice, because you'll have varying fiber widths to hold it in place. So this is kind of considered the bare fiber, and then this will be your jacketed stuff. You want to use the top keyhole there, kind of, or the top recess, and that you just pinch it on, And you always kind of want to do motions 90-degree. You don't want to pinch that fiber optic cable. So you can see there I was kind of off, and I already cut the cable itself. So you just want to go in small little steps to pull that jacket off. And you want to give yourself quite a bit of room, because you'll find that when you go to put it into the stripper itself, this jacket will be thick and it gets in the way. So if you have a lot to work with, then give yourself as much room as you can. It makes things a lot easier. I'm sure you guys will have enough space or fiber available to do that. So inside is actually just this Kevlar strands. It's just there to add some protection to the cable. So one of the things you'll want to have with your splice kit as well is just a pair of scissors, and all you do is you just snip it back so it's not in the way, and then just dispose of it properly. So the top jacket's off. Now you want to remove the second inner jacket, and you'll use the second keyhole or second recess. And again, just try to be as gentle as you can and pull it sideways. In the lab or inside, it's pretty good. The fiber will cooperate. But if you're outside and the fiber gets cold, it gets a little bit more brittle. So that's why try to go 90 degrees as straight as you can. You'll find that if you're off and the fiber is colder, it will snap. And you'll just be trying to resplice or restrip it. So what you want to do is, again, you want to try to conserve as much fiber as you can. You don't want to strip this inner jacket back too far. Most cases where we work, we're very limited on what's either at the wellhead or the junction box. So you really want to conserve this, because the further you get down the line of your fiber optic cable, the less you're going to have to work with to move over to your splicer. But you guys might have an environment that's a little bit better. But it's just to be aware to not be wasteful of the material as well. So what I do, and it'll just come from practice and experience a bit, the amount that you want to strip back really is the amount that is going to sit across the pads properly on either end, so that the cleaver can hold each end and then make that cleave. So you don't want this too long, because then, like I said, you're going to be wasting that material. So you'll find out from experience that you'll get used to it. Again, it is to make sure that the fiber sits across the two pads properly for that cleave. The cladding off. Certainly. Goggles are fogging. So with this one, you'll just pull it, and it's hard to see here, but you'll see that there's some white debris that actually comes off, and that's the cladding, and now you're down to the glass. Here. And sometimes when you go to do it, you can actually strip ahead, and you'll actually see that extra layer of cladding on there. And you want to get up as close as you can to this inner jacket to remove it. Once you have the cladding off, so right now it's okay if you rest the fiber. Again, just be careful, because if you're in an environment that's colder, it's going to break. And now you want to clean it for any dust, and there might be a bit of that debris of the cladding that's still on there. So use your alcohol wipes or anything else that you may have. And you really just put it in and clean it. And you can pull it pretty hard. The fiber will maintain itself. Once it's clean, you put it into this little fiber holder, and what I do is I line up the end of that inner jacket, that white jacket, to the end of this holder. Once it's in line, just the magnet will hold it in place. And then this piece, so you'll want to engage your cleaver, and then this just sits right in there, and you want it to sit flat as well, because that's going to ensure you have a proper 90 degrees. And then you push down and you've spliced it now. Then from there, you'll just want to come over with that same thing. So again, that's why these are very helpful and useful. You don't have to take the fiber in and out. It keeps it at that proper distance. And then you just place it into the splicer in the containers that it, or these pegs that will hold it. Then you close it just to keep the dust off because we cleaned it. And now what we'll do is splice the other side. So again, just pull off the jacket. Oops. Like I mentioned, you'll want, part of the splicing is this protection sleeve. And it's just plastic, and you'll see on the inside is a little metal bar, and that's what gives the support to the splice and the fiber itself. So you want to make sure before you cleave and before you wipe it to put this on. So here we have open ends, so it'd be easy to slide on, but you won't have an open end when you're in the field or splicing it. So just feed it through. And because I've already stripped it, I took off the cladding, and now I put it on again. You're going to want to clean it one more time just to ensure there's no dust on it. And if you had already cleaved it and then forgot to put your splice sleeve on, and you replace it on, you won't see it. But sometimes nicking that end of the fiber will wreck your cleave that you had just done. And it will actually show up on the camera of the splicer itself, and you'll have to redo it. So usually what I do is if I have put it on after I cleaved, I just re-cleave it again. I might strip back some, clean it. But since I haven't cleaved it yet, I just clean it, place it into the holder. And you may notice that the fiber itself, the cable, it may twist. All you want to do is try to get it as straight as you can, so you might have to wiggle it around, get it flat. Again, just engage your cleaver, put it in. There you go. Yes, so it didn't cleave, even though I had it in there, and that's because there is a piece of fiber across that one bumper. There we go. Now it cut the fiber. So you'll notice even if you've pressed it down and it hasn't cut, again, check the pads. It's probably because there's debris in the way. And again, you just take this and place it across the pegs there, and now they're in place. So the machine will start up, and like I said, there's different options that you can go through for the different fibers, multi-mode or single mode, but there is also an auto, and what it will do is it will detect based on the core, it will detect whether it's a multi-mode or single mode, and it knows itself. And that's all we run with, is just the auto mode. You can go through the menus and it will show you the different splice settings. But again, auto is perfect for what you'll need. And all you do is once you have the auto mode selected, you just hit set, and you'll see the camera will actually come up and the machine now will actually try to align the fiber. It looks at it to see if it's good, perfect 90-degree cleave, lines it up, and then it does the fusion. And you'll see that it's now fused together. Oh, that one's, it's probably okay. But so here it thinks there was some dust on there. You might have to splice it again, but it looks pretty good. It splices, you just hit reset, and it just moves those mechanisms back into place. You don't have to, but it's just good practice to do it. It resets, and sometimes it's good to do it as well in certain environments, like I said, if it's cold out. And when it pulls it back, it kind of does a check. It's almost like a check on the splice to say that it's good fused together. If it snaps when it pulls back on the mechanisms, then that splice probably wasn't going to last anyways in the field. So it's good to hit the reset button to have it kind of do a little tension check. Just open this up, and this is the part you want to be kind of careful with. So you'll lift the latches on those holders. You can actually just leave them in there, and you'll have the fiber now. It's fused together. And like I said, this one we had an open end, but if you're in the field or wherever you're setting up, that's why you want the splice sleeve on, because you won't be able to get it on after. And what you want to do is just try to gently move it across and keep it balanced on either side of the inner jacket. Just even across the splice, and then you just place it into the heater, close it, and you'll see a light comes on to indicate that it's heating, and you just wait. When the light's off, it shrink wraps the splice protector, and you're good to go. I can pull on it pretty good, and it's not going to break. So it's ready to use.